Okay, here we are. We've got a 44-year-old male that I saw back in May, and it's now end of July. And number 3 has been bothering him. We recommended extracting it at that time. Apologize for the bad picture here. Worried about the possible sinus exposure. We talked about that a little bit. So we have him anesthetized, and we'll go through and see exactly what's what, and go from there. So first thing we're going to do is, through the stepwise process, use a Woodson WDS1 and just kind of release the tissue around the neck of the tooth. This I think prevents some tearing in some situations. And starting with a 301 elevator, I'm getting a little bit of movement there. Just looking at the tooth, I thought, well, it's pretty well intact. I don't have a lot of movement on the distal because the tooth is fractured back there. So what I decided to do is go to a 150 forcep. 150 is a universal upper. I have 3 forceps in my office, so 150 for the uppers, 151 for the lowers, and a 23. Starting to see some movement. One of the things that we talked about during dental school is everybody says don't go to the palate, don't go to the palate. You're not going to get any expansion bone. You're probably not getting a lot of expansion bone there, but I find that I break buccal plate off a lot less if I take that and go to the palate. I'm probably compressing some of that bone over there. I'm not causing any damage, but basically I'm releasing that tissue. At least this is what I feel. We're releasing the buccal bone from that root, and you can see I've got this thing moving pretty well. We're about 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the extraction, and so this is a forceps extraction. I mean, we always say, keep it simple, 301, whatever, but use whatever it takes to get the tooth out as atraumatically and as efficiently and effectively as possible. That kind of shot out of there when great technique, but you'll notice that there isn't any bone stuck on the outside. So the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in. Notice also that there's not a whole lot of bleeding. This guy came in April or whenever it was, and his blood pressure was extremely high. I referred him to his physician, and his blood pressure today was well within normal. His diastolic last time was about 120, and so, like I said, I referred him over, and he said it keeps getting better and better, and I believe his blood pressure today was about 130 over 85 or something, and better living through chemistry. I'm just looking around to make sure everything is good. Notice once again there's not a whole lot of bleeding, not a lot of tearing of the tissue, and this was one that someone might worry that they're going to get into the sinus about. There are some techniques that we show that would prevent that from occurring. 99.9% of the time, I'm not overly concerned about getting in the sinus. It's just what you do afterwards. Close it up. Tommy has a number of techniques that he uses, and generally I'll try to get primary closure if possible, but that doesn't always work. You can see me compressing the socket. I like to do that. I use my fingers. You can see the blanching on the palate. Remember, when you're extracting a tooth, make sure you go behind it, particularly posterior tooth. The greater palatine comes from back here. So we're irrigating out, and I think the overall treatment of this case went real well. We're at 447 right now, and have them close together, and hasta Luigi. Talk to you later.